Okay, whenever you want to go. Action.
Thanks for watching. This is Jake Ducey with Into the Wind TV with Laird Hamilton.
Cut. We're rolling and action.
Hi, I'm here with Laird Hamilton with Into the Wind TV, and we're about to go into the process of getting to the wave instead of actually the process of riding it.
Cut.
And 1, 2, 3, action.
I'm here with Into the Wind TV, and this is Jake, and I'm here with Laird Hamilton, and it's really an honor to be here. And Laird and I just had begun talking, and I was saying that I thought I was crazy, leaving behind a lot of friends in going on my own process and following my heart, and Laird has shown me that I'm not that crazy, relatively speaking, and the Into the Wind, and I think really everyone at large is at some point you have to kind of cast away from what is acceptable and go your own way. And you've had a lot right now. Right now he's all cut up and stuff like that. Yeah. So maybe you can just we can just start there and flow.
Yeah, I think for me, the way I grew up and where I came from, there's a great quote. It says, "Disobedience is the true foundation of liberty." I love that one. That's a Thoreau quote, and I think that the things that we talk about. I have children, and we always say the things that make kids hard to raise will probably make them great adults. But it's all that it's all that defiance and all those things that society that really just doesn't recognize or doesn't want to agree with. It's kind of like they want you to go, okay, well, get in the line and walk over there and go through that door, and we'll tell you what to do, and no, you can't do that. I remember growing up and having teachers tell me, well, you're not going to be anything. Like you're not going to be anything, and you can't surf for a living, and you can't eat your surfboard, and I heard it all. So, but that's the thing. I think that's the time when you have to decide if you want to try to live for yourself or you want to try to live for other people.
Mm. So that's something, you brought up something that I think is really interesting that I brought up with pro surfer Kyle Tierman as well. The percentage, of people that I guess are actually supporting themselves and their children off of something like surfing is pretty rare. And a lot of people, these interviews are about people see, Laird doing all these great things, going down the waves and stuff like that. But what was the process? What was maybe some challenges that you faced? And what type of, you talk about visualization, and you and Gabby both do. And what was, ways that you got beyond that, especially, did you hit any big hurdles,
I think the biggest hurdles that you hit are your own that you create. I always say that we are each our own greatest inhibitors. Mm-hmm. I think that we stop ourselves from doing things. Fear of failure will keep most people jailed for their life, and I feel like I think I've just gotten good at failing. Where you kind of I've been hurt enough times where I thought, is it going to work again? Can I do this? Am I going to be able to surf again? I think the hurdles for me that were really the things that kind of shaped me were my injuries. My just being hurt and breaking legs, and kind of having to kind of go inside and go, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you just going to submit? Are you going to submit and be a victim, or are you going to fight for what was that song? Fight for your rights or something?
Yeah, well, Bob Marley. So when you said that, it brought up. I interviewed Victor Villasenor, and he said you have to learn how to have fun with your failures. How about, where does humor fit in, especially when you're falling off huge waves, or how does that fit in, especially when you're going? Because you got some slack and stuff like that when you brought in, especially toe and surfing and things like that.
Stand-up paddling, everything along the way. I think that, I think good comedians obviously laugh at their own jokes. I think you can't take yourself too seriously. And there's one thing about being confident and having an ego. We all do. We all have we're all, that's part of our you know, our existence. But I think that you have to be willing to laugh at yourself. I think that, you know, that's part of being humble. I think there's a certain amount of humility that you need to constantly sustain in your life to keep you grounded. And if you're and nothing like laughing at yourself and to keep you humble, you know, and doing things that are can be stupid at times, or you know, the best is when you do things and people laugh at you and they think they're funny, and then time goes by and pretty soon you're watching them do them, and then you're laughing at them doing them only because they were laughing at you while you were doing them, and so you're like, well, now look at you, you're doing it too, kind of thing. And that's always nice. That's nice when you see it go around the circle and have people kind of experience that, you know, the thing that they thought was so funny, or the thing that they, even on the other side of that, you know, bright light, dark shadow. It's like people might think it's, you know, oh, that's, you know, that's wrong, but then all of a sudden, well, maybe that's right.
Mm.
You know, and I think that's one thing I've always kind of, I guess in my life I've always had a tendency to not just agree that that's the way it is. Like just because that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Like and if everybody thinks that's the way to do it, that's usually the first thing. I'd be the first person to say, no, that's not right. Like that's not, or that guy's cool, no, he's not cool. Or that thing's great, or no, that's not great. You know, or that you can't do that, or you can do that, because all that's the same thing. I think that formula. You know, I feel that life is a formulaic process, and I almost enjoy the formula of creativity and the formula of doing things more than actually the doing. Sometimes the formula, that process of you know, having an idea and then carrying it out into fruition, and then you plateau and you kind of go, okay, now what now? And then you get a new idea, and you know that has the biggest curve. You know, that part of your discovery.
So what's part of your formula?
Oh, I think. I mean, one of the formulas is you know, the only thing I know is I don't know anything. That's right there at the top with any great philosopher is, you know, you don't know anything, and you know, from the mouth of babes, you know, that you can just always being open. I think part of it is always being open, and then willing to fail. Like just okay, I'm, you know, yeah, okay, I suck at this, and maybe I'll suck a little less next week, and maybe I'll suck even less next week. And pretty soon, maybe I won't be that bad at it, and maybe I'll be pretty good at it. But the willingness to fail and then not giving up too. I think it's a little bit. I think Gabby describes me sometimes like a dog. You know, it's like once you get on a scent, you just don't stop until you know, you either die or you find what you're looking for.
So what's been the hardest situation that comes to mind that you've had to persevere and go through to not give up, that's gotten you here, you know?
My love for my wife, probably.
Mm.
I'd say that's probably the hardest thing that, you know, that because relationships are work, and it's easy to be selfish and just go, oh yeah, I don't need to do this, and you know, and you just want to have things your way. And I think when you have to live with people in life, that you have to be willing to put away your selfishness. And I think that's, you know, that's probably one of the hardest things to do as somebody that's, you know, self-driven, that you have to kind of, you know, I think that's probably the, you know, which results in the greatest reward.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like that's in a way, the most work and the most challenging thing, but at the end, that's the thing that brings you the greatest, you know, idea of success in your head, on your pillow at night.
Yeah. So greatest success has been your family. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a continual one. They're growing, but yeah, for sure. That's the other things are you know, life is a puzzle, and there's all these pieces, and not any one has a greater importance than the other, except that your family is the framework. that's the frame that holds the puzzle together, that holds all those pieces. And so for me, it's the the emptiness that I would experience without that, family. I see it in other people.
Yeah.
I don't envy it. And
Yeah.
you could wield a chest full of gold, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. Because you can't buy it. You can't buy that. You have to work for that, and you just have to sacrifice for it. Like, and I don't mean sacrifice like you're giving up something, but you have to not be selfish. So you gotta have to kind of go outside of yourself.
Have you felt a time of emptiness while you've been, doing surfing the biggest waves in the world and achieving all these accomplishments? Have you gotten to a point in your life, maybe beforehand, you thought like this is going to create this happiness for me, and you got there and it didn't happen? Or
I think that's ongoing.
Nice.
I think that's an ongoing. I always said as a challenge as a parent would be to raise content humans.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, you want your kid to be a surfer or a tennis player or a great, and I go, no, I want content human. That would be nice. That would be like an accomplishment. But yeah, does it feel lonely? Do you have a loneliness is there something lonely about thinking that something's going to bring you the fulfillment that it doesn't? For sure. If you think, and our world's set up to think that, it's all about monetary. So it's all about how, you get the monetary, and then you're going to be, and then people, and most of and I know an enormous amount of very wealthy people that are absolutely confused and wondering why that, all this abundance doesn't bring them the happiness, and not realizing it's just right inside. You just have to look in and get it out, pull it out.
So you're speaking about, your family and stuff like that, and you didn't grow up with your normal father.
Yeah.
And something that especially young people largely are with, it's like, oh, well, I didn't have my parents together. My dad wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. Sure. What does a father mean to you? What's that mean?
I've had a lot of fathers.
Nice.
I've been fortunate to I didn't have my biological father, but I've had a lot of fathers and mentors, men that I looked up to, that I respected, that I admired, and that I used as role models, and I still have those, and they're my fathers. I have a couple guys that are like fathers to me, that are more father to me than anybody's ever been in or ever could be, and so I think that really that's your, the Father is in the heaven, the Father is in your heart. It's whoever represents to you that, something that you respect and admire, that they, and that man that has done that he's achieved something that you respect and admire. That's your father. That's your father, and it doesn't. We talk about, okay, rough upbringing and this and all these other things, but when you become a certain age, I think you have to decide. When you're mature, there's no excuses. Mm-hmm. There's no like, oh well, I had this and I have that. That's why I can justify doing the things that I do that I know aren't right. Mm-hmm. You know if they're right or they're not right. Mm-hmm. You're mature. That's what happens with maturity. Is that you get the knowledge to know the difference between what's right and wrong, and at that point you have to make your own decision. What kind of, who do I want to be? And I think a lot of us are looking for. I think humans are looking for. Give me a pill to make me in shape. Give me an excuse to justify so I can act any way I want. It's like we want these quick fixes, and not because in a way we're able to take our responsibility out of it. Then we don't have to be responsible. We can go, well, that's because of them, or they did it, and that's why. And I think that's something that once you become mature, I think you got to decide what you want.
So how I felt that summarized within me was that not having your biological father allowed you to see the Father in everything, really.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe that's why I didn't have him. Maybe that was a blessing. I mean, at the end, the curses are the blessings. Those things that you think that are so terrible end up being the things that make you are. And if you look back, I could say, hey, you always want to go, oh, I wish I had that, and I wish I had this. But if you said to me, okay, you can have it be any way you wanted to and go back and have it be any way you wanted to, but you don't get to be who you are now.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you. I don't want to go back and change things and not at least know what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you're happy with who you are you willing to give up knowing what you know at the cost of trying to have a different scenario of how you think would be ideal? I mean, unfortunately, it's like, if you want to make a rose bush blossom, what do? You prune it. Kind of a harsh thing. You cut it, you chop it. It's kind of, and in a way, I think it's the opposite of what you think. It's like the things that are going to make you blossom are going to be the things that are those things that are struggles at the end, or for you could be considered like this is a curse, or why me, or all those things that you do end up being the things that lift you up and make you stronger.
So it sounded really beautiful when you said you're giving up what you know. Here's what I thought of. You're on the wave. Everyone says, okay, no one's surfed this big of a wave before, or no one's towed in and surfed it. You gave up what you know, and in return, did that eliminate fear, or is fear? What's fear? Are you still experiencing fear when you're doing it, and you're just like, and it's like you become like
almost... Fear is reverence. Fear is reverence. Fear is true respect. I mean,
nice.
You have to have fear. Fear is a key emotion to the survival of our species. That's why we're here. If we didn't know to be scared, we would not have run from giant things that could eat us. It's stuff that thing's in us for a reason. Now, what you do with it, that's something else. And what kind of fear? Like, what is that fear? Is that a fear that inhibits you, or is it a fear that motivates you? Does it give you? Because fear can make you fast and make you smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, very. Or it can just make you do something really, stupid. It just depends on who you are and how you use it. So I think there's different ways to engage in, and I mean, it's the ebb and the flow. It's the yin and the yang. It's the night and the, and the day. Fear to one is the thing that motivates him and makes him do things that no one's done. And fear to another one is just, it puts him in gridlock and traps him in his house, and he never comes out because he's scared. But the two people are scared. It's just, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you making a nuclear reactor and, making power? Or are you blowing up people? Still nuclear. It's still this. It's just, what is the use? So fear is still, it's how are you using it? How do you use it? What do you do with it? And, I think you have to embrace it. I embrace fear. I think I want to be scared. I always say, I tell people sometimes, I go, I'm the most scared out there. I want to be the most scared because I think that is the right place to come from. That is really a smart place to be, to come from that. I'm serious.
I love it. It resonates with me, man.
It's funny. I was telling somebody, I have to be scared and really know what's going on, because the people that aren't and are doing what they're doing, all the angels are protecting them, and so there's not any to protect me. So I gotta really I gotta watch what I'm doing, because they're not going to be there. They're busy taking care of these other people that aren't watching out for themselves.
Yeah, man, that's the same thing on my journey. Like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I was so scared.
Yeah.
So, what are ways that you use to channel fear, or like to, if it's in a paralyzing position, how do you bring it to a position that makes you move faster, that makes you, what type of, you talk about visualization, what does that mean to you? Or like, do you do breath work if you're waiting before a huge set or something like that? Or
yeah, I'm always conscious of breathing, and I'm always conscious of opening my hands and I mean, I think that how do you take that that, that thing that locks you and release the chain of fear. How do you release the chains of fear? I mean, you know, one probably the most obvious way is just to engage, to just go and do, go into it and not think about it, like not overthink it and not analyze it, because that's, I think, some, there's a saying, but it's, you just get locked up when you overanalyze. You're overanalyzing it instead of just. It doesn't mean go foolhardily and just go do something stupid, but it means like engage into the whatever activity, or because I feel like when I'm watching giant surf, that's the hardest part. I get the anxiety I get, and it's the worst. If I'm there and I'm like, and okay, there's a wave, got to get out of the way. Okay, I'm going to get on the wave. It's like I'm busy with the work, and then that consumes me, and then I'm good. Then everything's good. But if I'm watching it, that's just terrible. That's just the worst. Yeah, I can't. I don't want to see it. I'd rather not look. I'd rather just be like, I don't want to see, or just go out and be in it. But like to be a spectator, terrible. I can't do that. I can't. It's like makes me makes me get. And I think because of that, if you did that long enough, it probably create. It would probably lock you up. I think you get frozen if you indulge yourself in that aspect of it, instead of just committing to going and participating in whatever it is that you're scared of, whatever it is that's scaring you. Start going.
So that's what I hear so many people say. It's how do I take action in spite of my fear?
How do you take action in spite of your fear?
Yeah.
Well, you take it. You take it.
So have you ever had a time when you've been on top of a wave, maybe there's a huge shoot with sponsors, or maybe you're in a contest where you've been too paralyzed to go, or do you just go and then when you're on the wave you're like scared while you're going?
Yeah, no, I go. I like to go. I think I prefer that. I mean, I've been hurt and stuff and had to do things where being hurt and and not, and that was inhibiting. Like that was like, okay, you got to jump off this giant cliff, and it's you got everybody's there, and they're all okay, and like you can barely walk. You got like your back's locked up, and I don't know if you're locked up because you're thinking about jumping off the cliff, or you just you're just locked up, and you just got to go. You gotta release it, and that's why I said engage and to do it. You just have to do it. You have to start the movement. Just that one. Just initiate. It's like initiate. It's the same thing as how do you stop doing something that you've been doing that you love to do, or how do you hike to the top of a mountain that seems too high to get to the top? Well, you just one step. Just that first. Just initiate some movement towards it, and then all of a sudden it will gain momentum. Then there'll be the next movement, and then before you know it, you're flying along, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, and then before you know it, you're at the top of the mountain, and you're like, wow, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was.
So speaking of top of the mountain, going up it, I read that he paddleboarded from Malibu, from Los Angeles to Oceanside. Did you do that?
Yeah.
So what? Or aren't you like sore when you're halfway through it, like that you're just?
But I like those. I think I like that kind of thing, because that's really a challenge of your will. Like a challenge of your. And I always just remind myself whenever we're doing anything that has that kind of endurance challenge, that those are mind games. That at the end of the day, that's a mind challenge of, you're pain. Okay, you got blisters, you're hurting, you don't want to go. It's been hours, and I just remind myself how lucky I am that I can do it. That how blessed I am that I'm actually able to do it. That I can do it, and that there's plenty of people that aren't even able to do it. And so I just go, yeah, well, I don't have any excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any that, unless I am physically stopped or fall over, collapse, and pass out. I'm gonna just keep, and that's. I mean, they have races like for those kind of people, and they call them the Ironman or something like that, where the guys just, it's getting a little more elaborate now than just the will of your mind. But but that's really the, I think I enjoy it. I mean, because that's still, again, a formulaic thing. It's still the same thing as ride a giant wave is, go paddle for, 20 hours or something like that. It's still that same, it's just one's stretched out and one's condensed, but it still really is that same formula of, of mind over the matter.
So, physical activity to happiness. What is that? What's the correlation? What's the ratio there?
Well, I think that's one of the keys to happiness. I think that I think we're so physical beings that I think that, and I think one of the things that we've moved away from in our modern society is that we aren't physical enough. I mean, if you look at our history and what normally we do and how much work we do, I think that I think Buddha said to keep the body is a responsibility, because without the body you can't have a strong mind. And so I think that the relationship between the two is essential. I think you have to have the physical to really feed the mind. I think that you need it. And I have a friend that's almost 80, and he's just tough as nails, and he always says it takes the piss and vinegar out of you. But working out hard, riding far, you get a certain contentment and a stillness that is, and it's for free. I mean, other than the work that you do, it's a free thing that you can't buy, but you can only achieve by doing. And you sleep better, food's better, sex is better, everything's better. Your life is better for it.
So, here's something that I'm interested in. When you first started surfing and you had the dream to be a pro surfer, first of all, was that really your dream to begin with? Did you think it was something that could support you? And I think a lot of people that are pursuing dreams, they're not in the position yet where they're supported through it resourcefully. And I think that's a process where a lot of people give up. And what was that like,
Well, a couple things. One of them was I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just know I wanted to be the greatest, whatever that means, the best, according to whoever wants to say it, right? And what that meant to me, I wasn't exactly sure. I didn't really know the complete rhyme or reason to what that would entail. My mom, I had an incredible mother, which again, a mother is a woman that brings you that side of, whoever it is, for whoever you are, the person that brings you that insight that, my mom just said, it doesn't matter what you do, just do it the best you can. And really do it the best you can. Like, not just kind of do it the best you can. And the worst that happens is that you fulfill because you really, and enjoy what you do. Because at the end, if you enjoy what you do, then you'll have the success of that because people can't buy that. And so, and if you make a living from it, shame on you. It's like, but at the end, you'll have that feeling, that feeling of an accomplishment. Because I think that's the thing that we all seek, and that's why a lot of people don't achieve a feeling of accomplishment through pursuing things that the world sets up to be the thing that's going to make you feel accomplished. So you go and if you get this car, you get this house, you get this thing, you get this money, you get this thing, you get this fame, you're going to feel accomplished. And then they get there and they don't feel accomplished. So instead of trying to figure out a way to feel accomplished, and then you might get money, car, fame, and all that other stuff, but that'll just be byproducts. I always said that's byproducts of you searching to feel accomplished. And I think one thing I felt growing up was I said I want to be the best, but when I say the best, I meant or the greatest would be at what I knew it to be, which had nothing to do with being a world champion or being paid for it. It had to do with men that I looked up to riding giant waves. And they'd come in and the guy would be like, that guy rode a giant wave, and he came back and he paddled out there, and he was in the middle of this of the you know of the of the of the of the you know the great storm, and then rode a huge wave and came back, and just by the look on his face, I'm like, no, that is a feeling of accomplishment. Like that guy felt accomplished, and I want that. And so I think for me, I think that was more of the pursuit of that, like the pursuit of that feeling, and then in your down inside, somehow when you pursue that feeling, like that feeling of accomplishment, that, and part of it is that you have other people say to you, hey, that was incredible what you did, because when you're all alone in it, sometimes you're not sure if you're just out of your mind. You just might think, hey, listen, I'm just loony. Like, is this really great? Is this as great as I think it is, or is it there's something wrong with me? And and so I think there's a certain necessity to having that peers or whoever give you confirm some of your suspicions, like, because otherwise when you're completely alone, you can't do the whole thing by ourselves. That's not who we are. We need, you need a book. We need to have tools that we can share, that we can maybe help us confirm that we're on the right path. Otherwise, it's a path by yourself, completely by yourself, without some sort of recognition, it wouldn't be a path. I don't think. I don't think it would be. I don't think you wouldn't know it was a path, because you need somebody to go, hey, that's a path. Oh, that's a path.
So speaking of, this path that you took when you're surfing, and you're talking about, people that you idolize and you see their face and like just made you stoked. What do you think is, besides, you don't really need to like say all the people that I guess were your heroes, but what do you think is the common thread between all of them that got them to that position that made you smile like that and was like, man, that's what I want to do?
Well, I think the common thread between all of the guys that I admired, that they were honorable, and all the things that entails. That they were honest and brave, and and all those traits that really define a good man, like define like what a man is, whatever. It doesn't need to be some death defying thing, but just that the traits that make or ultimately a good person, just those traits. Those are the common threads that connect all the guys and women that I respected, that the work ethic and the family and all these other things that I looked to for as an example of what I wanted to one day strive to. Somewhere along the way.
So on this journey to get to where you are now, or every single day, it's always the journey, but something that I am really interested in, with people that I feel that are embodying these traits you're speaking of, is they're doing incredible things to inspire people. But for you, is there a medium between, like a happy medium between like going and working out all day and like because you're away from your family? Is there a balance point, or is
absolutely no? There's a balance necessity. It's not even a. It's just not a choice. It's mandatory, because it just without the complete structure, then there's an imbalance, and so you have to have the rest day. You have to have the love of of your daughters, and you have to have you have to respect your wife. You have to have the respect of your wife, and you just have to have all those things. All the in my mind, that you need all these pieces, and that when you're lacking, it's like I always have children when they're really young, they have a tendency to be like, I'll never do this. And then, you know, you get a little older and then you, well, I might do this. And then you get even older and then you're like, well, I'll do this. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and it seems like you know, that's, life's like that. Like you just, you know, when you can have super high ideals, and maybe when, you know, if you're a single person, you can say, well, oh, this is how it is, and this is how, you know, this is how it is, and then, but you can only speak from that position. You can't really speak for how it is for the other people that are, you know, that have families and have kids, because I mean, so I always think it's almost like the joke's on us, because it's like you don't even know what it's like to be a parent until you're a parent. It's like, you know, it's like you don't really know what it's like to be a true friend until you're a true friend, right?
Mm.
You don't know what it's like to you know to fail until you fail. I mean, it's just, that's the way we learn. We just we should be intelligent enough, and there's few of us that are. I'm not one of them, but there are few that learn from the wisdom and the you know, and the mistakes of others. But you know, most of us just learn from the mistakes of ourselves, and I think that's the, you know, that's just the nature of what we have to do. That's how we learn. It's like I can tell my daughter, hey, look, that fire is hot. Do not touch it. And she'll look at me and I'll go, it's really, you know, it's hot. It burns. But sure enough, she's gonna stick her hand there and go, wow, that burns. And then that at that point, right then, she knows it's what hot is. And I don't need to tell her anymore. They're like, hey, the fire. She'll be like, oh yeah, that's hot. Yeah, you know. And it's just that's the way we roll. You know.
So, when did you have a time in your life when you were making the transition to pursuing what you're pursuing? Maybe as you just began surfing, when you weren't like, did you ever not have a home? Were you ever like not making any money, but you were
Yeah.
fully?
Well, I grew up poor, and
Can you
then
talk about all that, please? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
I mean, I grew up in a, you know, we grew up in a bare tin roof with an outhouse with, you know,
Dang.
and screen windows and mosquitoes, and you know, my mom, we had cold showers. I mean, but it's like at the end of the day, I can sit there and go, yeah, you know, poor me, or look what I did. You know, it's like, but again, no matter what you've done and what you've had happen to you, somebody has it worse. I promise. No matter what it is, and what you have, and what problem there is, somebody has it worse. And no matter how great you are, and how much you have, somebody has more. Somebody's greater. And that's just I guess that's the great thing about life. That's just keep us in check, I think, no matter what, because there's nobody, you know, there's nobody that can go without. It's like there's nobody can go say, hey man, I really got it bad. It's like, no, you don't have it bad. So again, it's what we talked about earlier. You know, it's you know, using that as a, yeah, you can use that as a. I mean, that's gonna be a motivator. You know, it's like I can remember only, you know, you get you know, having kids tease you because all you had was like 2-3 pairs of pants that had holes in them. If you lost your shoes, which I did quite a bit, I just go barefoot all the time. I'd be like barefoot, like no shoes. Can't get another pair of shoes. Can't buy a shirt because, you know, you only get a couple per school season. You get, you know, it's like, oh, you get all that. I mean, you know, I mean, that was just, and for me, I think more than that, even beyond that too, because that's just the monetary stuff was more the psychology of like where I grew up, where it was like being a white blonde guy like me was probably like, it's the absolute worst scenario where you could be. I could have been anything else. Japanese, Filipino, Chinese would have been better than what I was. I was like the perfect, you know, victim of like the guy to be not like, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be blonde looking like a descendant of Captain Cook in Hawaii. It's just not happening. Wasn't, and especially at the time when I grew up and where I grew up, that was just an absolutely bad scenario. And so, but again, you know, using that as, you know, what are you going to do with that, and how's that going to, you know, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? You going to use it to fail? You know, you use it to fail. Well, that'd be easy.
Yeah.
It's a setup for it. Perfect. Just don't, you know, just get a truck and drink beer and don't do anything. Great. Like, I don't know. I think that's, again, that's a choice. That's a choice of what what do you, because everybody's got an excuse. We can, and you can line them up, and I'm not saying that there aren't people, that there aren't great people that just, have horrific situations and stuff just keeps falling on. And I'm not saying that because that's, there's an exception to every rule, but in general, it's like, these are the things that you have to decide what you want to do with them. You're going to take this thing and make it, is it going to make you strong, or is it going to make you weak? Is it going to make you give up, or is it going to make you, is it going to make you, and not fun. It's not fun, and it's not so easy. Just go, oh yeah, I'm gonna make me strong. No, it's not. It's not even. I think for me, personally, it wasn't a choice. It's not like I just chose, like, oh, I'm not gonna let it get me down. I was just like, I just wasn't accepting it. I just wasn't accepting it. I'm not gonna accept this is my outcome, or this is what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna accept it. And so, in not accepting it, what am I gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna believe.
So it's like what I thought of, and something that's been true for me is it's almost like a certain kind of delusional quality that you have to get to your vision, where it's like, no, I'm going to go past this. I'm going to go past that.
Yeah.
So how about, did you have a board? You probably didn't have a nice board when you were little then, did you?
No. I mean, in the beginning, I had broken pieces of boards, normally.
Huh.
Like, I laugh now, you see these kids, they got, there wasn't even, first of all, there wasn't even such thing as a boogie board when I was a kid. And then when the first boards I had were broken surfboards. The boards were broken in half, and I just ride one, the front end of them. They usually had fiberglass, all sharp edges on them. You get cut up, and then I'd get rejects. Like, I'd get the rejects, and I remember my stepdad, like, at whatever 6 or 7, he made me a board, not like boards. Like, these kids now, they got boards. There's like, oh, I don't, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's like, but it's, in a way, it's like, even my children, how it was. I mean, when we got a bike, it was like a big deal. I got a bike. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I got a bike. I've been waiting all year. I finally got one. Christmas came. I got a new bike. Now the kids got they get a bike every year. They got a bike. It's like they got bikes coming out their ears. It's like everything's more abundant too now. Even for the poor, it's more abundant. I mean, it's making us weaker because of it.
Mm.
Because we have it. Yeah. So, I mean, we can just go get you can get some, it's death food, but it's only $1.99. You can get a drink with it too, probably. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's well, the times, I mean, it's a different time that we're in now than, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. It's like, lots happened in the last 40 or 50 years.
So a really cool thing, and like I said to you earlier, is like, my hope is that somebody who has nothing to do with surfing can see, like, okay, well, maybe they're writing a book, and like they have, like, for a while I was missing spacebar while I was writing my book, So it's like this correlation that I don't even need to be a pro surfer to know that similar situation of maybe not having enough, but still getting enough. So what would you say that maybe they're even they're a runner? What advice you give to somebody that says, like, well, I don't have the right equipment to start shooting this, or like whatever,
Well, I think you just, I say, what do I say to anyone?
Yeah, what do you say?
What do I say to anyone trying to pursue their dreams?
Yeah, what do you say?
I say, don't stop. I say, don't stop. Just, and that I mean, I always make a joke, where there's a will, there's a Sally, but where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, if you really want it.
There's a will. That took me a second to get it.
Yeah,
that's good.
Okay. but it's really that it's about believing. It's like it's that if you really believe in what you're doing and you're pursuing it, the way will be made for you. Mm. It will be made for you if you pursue it with all of you, with all of your intentions, with all your passion, with all your and for the right reasons too. It's gotta be for the right. You gotta do it for the right reasons. And you know, because I've had people ask me, you know, I just really want to ride giant waves, this and that. Like guys tell me that, and and my first question, like I would say to anybody wanting to do anything, the first question would be, if you said, "Hey, I want to be a runner," I go, "Why? Why? What's the reason?" I can't explain it to you. It's just inside of me, and I just need to. I just have to. I want to. That's the answer. That's the one I'm looking for. That's the one that you're looking for. That's the you can't explain it. You don't know how to. You don't know why. It's inside of you. You just want it. It's just something that's in you, and you just don't know why, but it's there, and you feel it, and you want it. And the reason why I asked that question, why, and the reason why the answer needs to be that feeling, is because when you're failing, and you're at the bottom of the pit, whatever that is. Maybe for me, it's like in front of a wave that's, whatever how big it is going to be, it's going to land on my head, or you're at the end of the run and you've got blisters and you can't, there's a finish line, and you're crawling on all fours, whatever it is, at that moment, the reason why will answer your question why you're there. Because because you're going to be there. You're going to go like, wow, why am I here? Look at that. Look at me. Why am I here? And that why is going to make you go, oh, that's, you know why? Because I want this. This is it's inside of me. I want it. I need it. I don't know what it is. And then you're going to go. But if you got any other answer why you're doing it, when you get to that spot and you're there and you're going to be like, please, why don't you get me out of here? I don't want to be here. And if you say, hey, I send me, you want to be there. You want to be there. That's why you're there.
You're like, I want to do push-ups right now.
Just saying, that's the truth, though.
So you've had times where you haven't had motivation or inspiration. Is this something that puts you back in spirit, in inspiration, knowing your reasons?
Yeah. Well, that just gives you, that's your foundation. Your reasons are your foundation. That's that's your, and like I said, even if you can't explain it, that's your anchor. That's the thing you hold on to. That's the thing that holds you in those. Because when it's all flying along and everything's great, it's like you can have 1,000 reasons. That's not. But the thing that anchors you in there is that, is that thing inside of you where you're just, it's in you. You just, you need to save these people. You need to write this book. You need to catch this wave. You need to do this thing, and it just drives you. And you lay in bed and you think about it. You wake up and you think about it. And it just consumes your every thought. And you're always like, and it's exhausting. It's like, I just stop thinking about it, because you can't, because it's not a choice. It's not something you just decide one day. I'm going to be this. I'm going to do this. It's not. You just that's. It wasn't. It's not conscious. It's not a conscious choice that you just decided you're going to do. And that's a trick. I think that's that's the curse and the blessing of the people that find that. How do you find your special, Steve Martin's quote, your special purpose? How do you find your thing? How do you find it? Some people find it earlier. Some people find it later. Some people never find it. That's really the question. How do you find it? How do you find, for those that have found it, lucky for you, amen. You can, but now you have the obligation of pursuing it.
So it finds you.
I think if your intentions are right, it'll find you. You just have to be open. That's again being open to it and believing. A lot of times people get too old and then they get disgruntled, or they don't think they don't think it's possible, and then at that point, then it isn't. Then all of a sudden it becomes not possible. That's why when you're young, you're so open and you're so hungry to everything's possible. So it's an easier time to find it.
How many? You probably don't know how many people have told you you're crazy, but
Well, yeah.
tell you that.
A lot of people say I'm crazy. I mean, And for me, I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, man. Me too.
I'm just saying, but like you're crazy because in a way, I think you're crazy is, I think people are crazy not doing the thing that they're here to do.
Yeah.
That's not crazy. Crazy is like the 405.
Will you please say that one more time, just in case somebody's listening to it and they're like, I need to hear that once more.
That you're what? That you're
You
crazy.
said you're
Yeah.
crazy if you're not doing what you're supposed
Well,
to.
that's right. You are crazy if you're not doing what you're supposed to do. That's crazy. If you know you got this gift or you know you got this thing and you're not doing it, that's crazy. I'm I feel completely sane.
What's it mean to have belief? What's belief?
Sorry, I cut 1 second.
It reminds me of something that someone said to me. Somebody asked me for a. I'll wait for you.
Right on. Yeah, feel free to flow into any stories too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people identify. This is just. We get to film this, and it's like, it's awesome, man.
But I had someone ask me. They said, "Oh, can you help me with my surfing? Because I really suck." And I said, "Okay, let's back that up. Okay, say I don't suck." And she said that was a woman. She goes, "I don't suck." I go, "Well, that's your first surf lesson." And after that, I think it actually helped her. I think that because I do it myself. I think it's easy to do that. It's like, oh, I can't. I definitely couldn't go do that. Or I'm going to be terrible at that. It's like we already just set ourselves up at we just failed before we even started. We just said, okay, I've already decided how I'm going to react to that situation, and I do it. It's like, oh, I ice skating, or it's like, or whatever. You just pick something that you think that you're not. Either you think you're not going to be good at, or you just think that somehow it's not going to. But it's like that's that thing that that's that thing that we have to be careful of, is that block that we put up. I train with some guys, and during the week I have a group of guys, and we all work out together. And I have the one guy was we were doing some kind of thing, and he goes, "Oh, well, I can't do that." And I said, "No, you just haven't done it yet. Not you can't do it. You just haven't done it yet." And there's a difference between you can't do it and you haven't done it yet. So if you just, "Oh, I haven't done it yet," exactly. And then here we go. And all of a sudden, before you know it, he's like, a couple weeks later, he's like, "Wow, I'm doing it now." Exactly. Where if you just decided that, you can't do that, you're definitely not going to be able to.
So what's belief? How do you strengthen belief too?
Oh, well, I mean, one of the ways you strengthen belief is through accomplishment, through the process. You believe in something, you accomplish it. Wow, you get confidence. You believe in something else, accomplish that. Get more confidence. Again, back to that formulaic process. It becomes a formula where believe through works, however you want to say it, but it's you can strengthen belief through accomplishment. You accomplish it, you're like, wow, okay, whatever it is, whatever, how simple or how big or how physical or how emotional or whatever it is, it's still about accomplishing it. Believing, accomplish. Oh wow, confidence. Okay, continue, another one. Boom, and then pretty soon that's why I said, I talk about being addicted to the formulaic process of creativity. Get an idea, write it on a napkin.
Yeah.
Then pretty soon make a prototype. Then you're out trying it. Then before you know it, you're doing it. Wow, that was great. Okay, next one. Oh, this idea. Wow, I got this one. 2 of those, 3 of those. Pretty soon you're like, wow, I can just think things up and write them on napkins, and before you know it, you're doing it. And then it just snowballs, and it gets bigger and bigger. It's still always a battle within yourself about trying to make yourself believe at the end, because you always have the doubt game. There's always the two little battlers inside the blind. You know, you got the two guys in there, you know, with the pitchforks fighting each other. One guy's, oh yeah, can't, yeah, can't. You know, it's like there's a story that I tell about a wave I rode in Tahiti that was a real famous ride, and how I was having an inner battle inside of myself during the ride, where one side of me is going, jump off, you know, you're never going to make it. And the other side of me, if you jump off, you can't make it. And the other side of me, jump off, you can't make it. It's like I'm just warring with myself inside. And at one point, and finally, the battle was won by the one side of me saying, well, if I don't stay on, I definitely can't make it.
Yeah,
You know?
there you go.
And that was the end. Then that was the end. And then I made it. And it was like, yeah, but had I just succumbed to, you know, jumping off, or not, or
That's a good one. If you jump off, you're definitely not going to make it.
absolutely not.
So this was the wave. This was the biggest wave you ever rode in that.
Well, it's that famous wave in Tahiti.
Yeah.
Now the biggest wave I ever rode, it's a little. I think that's something.
Sorry, do you know how much longer?
Oh, we can cut it whenever.
No, I just want to know if we're nearing.
Yeah, we're nearing
Because chaos
completion.
is about to ensue.
Okay, right on.
It's almost 4 o'clock.
Okay, cool.
So I have to go up and put some makeup on. I'm
Okay.
gonna shoot something with John downstairs.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know, like.
Yep.
Yeah, thank
5,
you.
8 minutes.
Yeah, just a couple final questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'll. Anyway, I can talk. I'll just talk about that one last time.
Yeah.
About that wave, and you know, first of all, the whole concept about riding a big wave and having it be measured, I really despise that whole thing of trying to create some sort of measurement to create a thing of accomplishment. I think for me, I just 29, 100 feet, 90 feet, 60, and just all these weird. It's just humans that, you know, wanting some sort of tangible way to do it. You know, the ride that I did in Tahiti that had an impact on me and had an impact on surfing was really more around the concept of riding the unrideable. That up until that point, that those types of waves were considered unrideable, and we actually rode the waves that were unrideable. They were like, and that was really my intention from the beginning, was not so much to ride the biggest waves, which coincidentally usually relate to unrideable, but it was really about riding the unrideable. That's how do we ride the unrideable, because that was really the quest. And that wave in Tahiti was about riding the unrideable. And then since then we've ridden some other giant waves that were unrideable that we rode. So and that seems to be an ongoing thing, which is great, because it's not like, you know, I think that it's really dangerous to create goals that you accomplish too easily, and that a goal that isn't always. I like modifying goals that always are evolving. So you want an evolving thing. So there's always pursuit. So you get near and then it goes up, and then you get near and it goes up, and you get near. So then it's a lifelong endeavor instead of some sort of crescendo and then down to a post-traumatic syndrome. I think I prefer that kind of a concept where you're always in pursuit of something that's always moving and you're moving and it's moving and you're always in pursuit of it, because I think that's more honest for a life, for an existence. I think that's something that you want, and how that modifies and changes and morphs and adapts throughout your life. Well, that's what's kind of the amazing part of the ride, right? Is where will it lead me, and how will it take me, and you know, I've had the fortune to kind of always be going in a different direction of the masses. That's one of the things that and it's really not on purpose. It's just by accident that I don't know if I just get bored with doing what everybody's doing, or I'm bored with it by the time everybody's doing it. Yeah. So they finally all get to it, and they're into it, and they're like really into it. I'm like, I'm 10 years in, and they're 3 years in, and I'm like, I'm good. I want to do something else. Yeah. But I find myself feeling like I'm almost obligated to go back and do it. But then I got to remind myself, no, I don't. I did that already. I'm good. I got to just go over here and pursue this thing that I'm feeling, that you talked about earlier, which is about following your heart. And so, and I think you just have to follow your heart and really listen to it and pursue that, and it will lead you all of the places you want to go, and you'll keep striving to it, and he'll keep leading you, and you just won't. I don't think you'll necessarily, at least for me, I don't want to just arrive at a place that my heart's leading me and then just be there. Because then I'm like, okay, now what? And then, oh, whoops, got 50 more years to live. I want something that has a little bit of a pursuit. There's a pursuit involved.
So what is it?
Pursuit of the heart.
Yeah, that what I thought of. I thought that was really neat. Instead of like a specific location, you end up at the heart. It's the whole pursuit, the journey of the heart itself.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So I'll be respectful of the last time, and I just wanted to ask two last questions.
Okay.
One is, what is greatness?
What is greatness? Oh, that's a tough question.
Because you're talking about it, that's what I thought of. I wanted to end with it.
You know what is greatness? Greatness is oh, that's a hard question.
I thought of it because you were talking about being the greatest.
What I think greatness is personal. I think greatness is something that only you can answer to yourself. That if you feel great about you or it or them or what it is, but I think greatness is personal. No one can tell you you're great. You have to feel you're great, and only you can feel you. So I think that greatness is a personal destination that you arrive to through whichever means you choose to pursue it.
So that's almost like you're speaking of reasons, and sometimes like I don't even know what the reason is. It's something that's inside of you.
Yes.
So my last question is, what are 3 ways one can engage to their fullest? Some say being a world citizen or just being a full human.
3 ways that you can be a world citizen.
Yes.
Is well, first of all, one of my great quotes from my mother. I will quote her again, like I always do. If you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to anyone. So first you have to be true to yourself, because without that you can't be true to anybody. So that you can't help anybody or do anything for anybody if you're not able to be true to yourself. Not selfish, but true to yourself. However you decide that you want to pursue that. I think that you need to be kind. I think being kind. I think being kind to the world, to people, just to be kind. I think that and whatever that definition is, it can be huge. I think that's so you be true to yourself and to be kind and have a lot of fun. I think you need to have fun. I think you need to shine the light of fun on the people. I think that's, they say if you can do one single thing for your health, it would be to make time to do something fun. It would be the greatest single thing you could do. Maybe if you eat and sleep and work out, those are all together, it could be great. But if you only had one to choose from, that doing something fun that you really enjoyed, that brought you happiness, and usually that means with other people, for other people, to other people. I think those would be my, the 3 could change later. I probably need more than 3, but after the 3, that's good.
I know. Thanks, Laird. I appreciate it. And
My pleasure.
Speaking of fun, last one, I had a lot of fun, and it's something that's going to carry on with what I'm doing. So, thanks, brother.
Keep rolling.
Yeah, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.